Hello, my name is Beck and welcome to a book launch vlog. Today is January 14th, it is a Monday and I'm going to be going to Emily Suvada's launch for This Mortal Coil today. I'm not sure if the event is for This Cruel Design, which is the sequel, or if it's for This Mortal Coil, or if it's for both, but I will find out, I'm sure. The launch is at 5:30 tonight and it's almost 3:30 at the moment, but it is scorching hot outside, which is probably why you might be able to hear the aircon in the background of this video. I might just tell you a little bit about This Mortal Coil because I have actually read this book already. It was in my quarterly TBR video and I've already finished it, and I'm actually listening to This Cruel Design as well, and I'm about 74% through that, but I'm not sure if I'll finish that before the launch. I will definitely listen to it on my commute into the city, so I'll let you know how far through that one I get as well. But This Mortal Coil basically follows our main character named Kat, and she's 17 years old, and this is a young adult sci-fi post-apocalyptic book. There's a zombie virus that makes people infected, their skin bruised, and then they prematurely combust. And when they combust, they spread these dust clouds that infects other people. So Kat has been trying to survive on her own for 2 years against this plague, but her father is a lead geneticist and he developed an early vaccine to this virus, and even though he was too late and the virus mutated and it didn't work, this organisation called Cartaxis has come and kidnapped him. Now when they kidnapped him, Kat hid away from them so they didn't find her, so she has been trying to survive for 2 years on her own while her father has been captured by this organisation. I can't really go into too much depth about what happens next because it's Kat's survival story and she's basically trying to stop this virus from spreading and find a vaccine in general as well, but this involves a lot of technology which I didn't expect. The technology in this book links straight to genetics and code, and our main character Kat is a coder, so there is a lot of lingo about coding and hacking in this book, but I found that honestly really interesting. I ended up giving this book about a 4 stars. I think it was very much like if you go to the movies and you can just turn your brain off and watch an action movie. It's kind of like a popcorn movie but in a book form. It was very action-packed and I did like Kat at the very beginning. She had a lot of independence and control, and that slowly gets leached away from her as the story progresses. But she does fight for control and she fights for her independence, and you see her internally questioning all her decisions. So it was really nice to actually have a self-aware main character in a young adult book. But I shouldn't say too much about this book. You should definitely pick it up if you like science fiction and young adult. This is a perfect blend of both. If you're squeamish about zombies, it doesn't really focus too much on zombies and it's more about DNA, hence the double helix on the book. So I definitely give this a try if you can. It's very fast-paced and the audiobook is really good too because that's how I consumed this book. So anyway, I'm off to go to the book launch. I'm leaving fairly early because I need to catch a bus and a train and I don't know how well they're going to connect time-wise. But I better wrap this up. I'll show you more footage as I go of the book launch. I'm not really sure how much footage I'm going to get and what kind of footage it's going to turn out to be cut together because I've never done a book launch before, so this is going to be very interesting for us both.
Back at what seemed like a crisis in book 1 and go, oh, my sweet summer child, that was not a bad day. This, though.
See, I'm doing that with the body horror in my books. So I was looking at, so there's a body horror scene in the first book, which I'm very proud of, I have to say. There's another body horror scene in the second book, and the third book, I'm like, where am I going to go? I've already done these terrible things. And then I thought of a body part that I hadn't gone to yet, and I was like, yes, yeah, I can do that.
When did writing or storytelling begin for you?
So storytelling began very young for me. So I loved reading as a kid. I was that kid who, we lived about 2 blocks from the library and I would go to the library every day, basically. I used to read like 7 books at a time and keep them straight in my head, and now I have trouble keeping one straight if it's been a few days since I've read it.
And it's your own?
Yeah, that's right, yeah, even worse. So I was an obsessive reader, read so many books, and it seemed natural that I would want to create stories one day. I think little primary school Emily entered this big literary competition with a short story. I didn't realize until I became an adult that these were, serious stories that...
So everyone else was an adult?
Everyone else was a serious adult, and I typed up on that old paper that folded. Yeah, I typed my story on that, put it in an envelope, sent it off. Didn't get anywhere, I was crushed, but I kept going. I then went and studied science. I thought about studying English, but studied science because it seemed like more impressive, if that makes sense. So I wanted to do this degree in advanced math and theoretical astrophysics, so that for the rest of my life I could say, yeah, I did theoretical astrophysics. And I gotta say, it's worth it for the bragging rights, so.
Yeah, although we were talking this before, and how much of it do you remember now?
Yeah, not very much.
Yeah. Favourite word?
Candelabra.
Least favourite word?
Just.
Favourite sound?
Waterfall?
Hogwarts.
What do you think? Slytherin.
Looking at you as I asked that, I'm like, if not, serious misrepresentation. What was your first word?
Ella.
Ella.
Yeah. No idea why.
Oh. Mine was mine. Favourite writing snack?
Those fried seaweed cracker things.
It's alright, more for you. Early bird or night owl?
Both. Yeah, depending on where I am in my writing cycle. Both.
Because you need like time to write 4 drafts of everything today. Right, and complete the sentence. I cannot write without.
A lot of cups and tea.
Hey, alright, we'll click on something.
Hello again, it's the day after the book launch for This Mortal Coil by Emily Suvada, and while I was on the way there I actually finished the second book, This Cruel Design by Emily Suvada, on audiobook as well, so I literally finished it 5 minutes before the event while I was on the tram, and then got off the tram and walked in the door to the bookshop. I will be talking about these in a wrap up, but I kind of just wanted to talk about my thoughts about them since that I finished them and they're so fresh now. So I did go over a brief synopsis before, so I won't really rehash what it's about except to say that it's a young adult sci-fi post-apocalyptic story focusing more on genetics and technology than it is on the apocalypse itself, but it does have elements of danger and tension in it as well, which I really liked. I think I'm really on the fence with both of these books because I gave both of them 4 stars, but they could very easily be 3 stars or 3.5 stars each. I found while I was reading them I was really loving the world building and the action and the characters, and I really loved Kat as well as a main character. But then on the flip side of that, there were cons to this as well. Sometimes I thought Kat's narration was a little bit repetitive, but it is very typical of YA to rehash certain things so that the character continues to believe in it, which was done a lot in this book. There is a trope in this book that I just generally don't like, and it's miscommunication. Kat does keep things to herself instead of just asking questions directly. I don't want to say I feel like it's a lazy plot device because it seems to be recurring in the young adult books that I'm reading. So I think it's just a structural thing that a lot of young adult books do. But whenever I see it, I get really frustrated because if the character's in a relationship with somebody and is supposed to trust them, I don't understand why they hold certain things back. Because the whole point of a relationship that's built on trust and survival is that you tell them everything so they can help you make choices. And so something in the second book came down to one of these tense moments, but instead of addressing it, it wasn't addressed at all until some of the last scenes, and it wouldn't have been as poignant in the last scenes if it had just been addressed earlier. So because I can see that pattern occurring, that's kind of why I knocked off some of the rating. I have said before that these are like a popcorn flick in a movie though. You do flip them open and you just get lost in the action of this world. I didn't predict everything, which was really refreshing. When it did come to love interests, I saw a few things coming, but I think that's just because I read a lot of YA and I'm a lot older than the intended audience, so I could see things coming a little bit sooner than the intended reader could. But apart from that, I don't really have anything negative to say about this book. It was a lot of fun. It was really well paced. I really liked Kat's voice, and I will read the third book. I'm quite looking forward to it actually. I'm not sure how I feel about the ending of the second book because I'm very much on the fence about it just in terms of how I'm invested in characters, but I will read on to see what happens when the third book eventually does come out. If you have read this book, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on it as well and what you rated it. But thank you so much for watching this little video, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye!